Golden. All right, once again, welcome back to the Exposing Scum Landlords channel. Video today will be another how to fill out and how to understand landlord-tenant board forms. Today we'll be covering the T2, Form T2 application regarding tenants' rights. This is Aaron and
Andrea,
who is off screen today. So once again, just a reminder, any advice given on this channel, our Facebook page, or any other social media is not to be taken as legal advice. We are not paralegals, lawyers, or in the law profession. We are just simply tenant advocates, as well as any one who happens to be in the law profession, lawyer, paralegal, who is giving advice as well, either on this channel or on our Facebook page or any other social media. It's also to be taken as not legal advice unless you have engaged their services. So I'm going to share screen here. Now a quick note about the T2. This form and I have filed against my former landlord and are currently waiting on a hearing. So just a quick story about that. In 2020, we had an eviction hearing, an emergency eviction hearing for issues that were subsequently dealt with. We didn't win, but we were granted a standard order which ordered us to do certain things to keep our apartment. My former roommate and I feel that we did comply with that, but unfortunately our landlord did not. He refiled, and unfortunately we had Miss Dawn King as our board member. Dawn King is a former RCMP officer, as well as a current property management rights or property management group owner and REIT owner, meaning that she herself currently is a landlord and is very skewed towards pro-landlord and ruling for landlords at the LTV. So unfortunately we did lose. But during the time between winning the hearing and the original hearing and losing the secondary hearing, our rent seeker decided that between mid-May and mid-July that he was going to send 56 notices of entry, which is extremely excessive when you think about it. That's about one every 2 to 3 days. Most of them he did not show up for, but all of them that he did, his reasoning was he was there to take photos. And he took photos of not only the apartment, but our personal possessions, our cat, and especially he went into boxes that I had packed and took pictures of my intimates. So after several times doing that, I started making notes and started recording conversations and everything, setting together a file to file for harassment and against reasonable enjoyment, which is what this application is about. Our initial hearing we missed because unfortunately the notice of hearing was sent to my spam and scam box in Gmail, and I didn't find it till about 2 months later, past the hearing date. We did appeal, and we did win the right to a second hearing, and we are currently keeping an eye on the file status and waiting for that hearing to occur. Okay, that's enough about my experience with this application. So I should be fairly knowledgeable on this. Let's give it a shot. Again, everything here is unscripted, and these instructional videos is pretty much unscripted, reactions unscripted, stuff like stories. If it's an interview, it's unscripted. If it's like one of our whiteboard animations, which we're hoping to get going on very soon. I'm working on one right now to get up. They're all, yeah, unscripted. So let's get right to this. Tribunals Ontario Landlord Tenant Board, application T1, form T2. It's available in French. Of course, everything to do with any government agency, forms and information is available in English and French, as English and French are the two official languages of Canada. So again, pretty much the first couple of pages are all standard on the all forms. So after we go through this, I'm just going to skip down past that. If you want to know what's on those first couple of pages, you can always head back to our T1 and go, we can explain it. It'll be explained there. Okay, so important information for tenants. Use this form to apply to the board to determine whether your landlord, the landlord's agent, or the landlord superintendent entered your rental unit illegally, which my rent seeker has done. Change the locks on your rental unit or building without giving you replacement keys, not done. Substantially interfered with your reasonable enjoyment of the rental unit or complex, or with the reasonable enjoyment of a member of your household. This is what our main focus in my filing is. Harassed, coerced, obstructed, threatened, or interfered with you. Again, that relates slightly. Withheld or interfered with vital services, care services, or meals. You can also use this form to have the board determine whether your landlord did not give you 72 hours notice to remove your property from the rental unit or from somewhere close to it after the sheriff evicted you. So yes, if you are evicted and the sheriff comes and has to remove you from your home, the landlord must keep your stuff for 72 hours. And within that 72 hours, you must make a time that is agreeable to both you and your rent seeker to come in and collect your possessions. Now, this is only extended one time, so you get one shot at it. If your landlord is agreeable or your rent seeker is agreeable to doing it on multiple days, that's fine, but they only have to give you one time entry. Did not give you written tenancy agreement for your care home unit, or gave you an agreement that did not include information about the care service and or meals charges you agreed to. This usually, I really have never come across this at all. I probably will have to do further research into that. I'm assuming care unit means like a private home that's being run as a long-term care. So we may have 5 or 6 units in a home or in a small apartment, as opposed to say one of the retirement communities, hospice centers, or long-term care or elder care centers. Instructions for the T2 form are available on the board's website. Website's listed on all forms. There are other tenant application forms you can use to apply the board for other reasons. For example, if you want the board to determine whether your landlord has failed to meet their obligation to maintain a rental unit and or residential complex, you can use a T6 tenant application about maintenance, and we will be reviewing that as well. Complete all 4 parts of the application. Part 1 asks for your general information about the rental unit covered by the application, you, other tenants living in the unit, your landlord and other parties to the application, your tenancy, and other unresolved applications. So again, this is your name, your address, which would probably be the unit you're occupying, which would relate to the filing, your landlord's information in their representatives, as well as your representative's information. Part 2 asks you to select and explain the reason for your application. Part 3 asks you to select and the remedies you want the board to include in the order. Part 4 requires your signature, or that of your representative. If you're being representative, your representative's contact information, again, if you're being representative. Complete the request for French language service, a request for an accommodation form. Again, you can have your hearing in either English or French. You can ask for accommodations that apply under the Ontario Human Rights Code. So stuff for like specific disabilities, illnesses, refile or having to redo or reschedule a hearing in case of illness or hospitalization, etc. File all pages of the application, not including this page, with the board. The board will send you a notice of hearing showing time and location of your hearing. So once again, hearings are now being permanently moved to the Zoom platform virtually. And all hearings will you will be receiving an email with that date, time, and location, meaning the Zoom link. You may also receive it in regular mail as well. Okay. Pay the application fee to the board the same time you file this application. The board will not process your application unless you pay the fee. A T2 application fee is $53 for the first unit, or $48 if you e-file, and $5 for each additional unit to a maximum of $450. This is pretty much standard. The fees vary, but usually it's a maximum of $450. If you file the application in person, you can pay by cash, credit, debit, certified check, or money order. Certified check order and money orders must be paid to the Minister of Finance. Again, that is, you make the check out to the title. So in the to or payee section, you would literally write Minister of Finance, not the name of the current Minister of Finance. If you mail, you can pay by cash or debit card. If you e-file, you must pay by credit or debit. If you pay online, you must email your receipt to the email there. Ignore that last part. I'm not even going to go through that again. Don't bother calling them. Okay, so again, this says what we're going to skip over. If you can, I'll scroll slowly through, and if you just want to, you can have a quick see here. Okay, other parties to the application of finance superintendent or landlord against because they caused a problem, shade the circle, yes or no. Questions about your tenancy. When did you move in to that unit? Do you still live in the unit? When did you move out? That would be the move out date here. If you select no, you're not living there. Any related applications, again, other filings under that may be associated with you or your unit and land and rent seeker would be listed here. You can always, again, if there's more than 2, yikes, but you can always write them in as well under. So part 2, reason for filling out this application. This is where we're going to start concentrating on things. Shade the box completely next to each of your reasons for applying to the board. For reasons 1 to 5, the person who caused the problem could be your landlord, the landlord's agent, such as real estate agent, or their significant other, or just somebody acting on behalf of the rent seeker. the landlord's agent or superintendent. Again, if it's an apartment building, superintendent, caretaker, person cutting the lawn, person doing maintenance, whatever. For reasons 6 and 7, you comply if the landlord clause, only if the landlord caused the problem. So you can multiple check these. So for my case, my landlord's agent, or superintendent entered my unit illegally. Reason 2, changed the locking system to my unit and building without giving me replacement keys. This includes fobs, cards, codes, anything that relates to getting in and out of the building and your unit regarding security. Reason 3, this is one I would check for mine, substantially interfered with my reasonable enjoyment of the rental unit or complex with reasonable enjoyment of a member of my household. So household doesn't necessarily mean family. It means anyone occupying your unit. So again, this could include spouse, children, roommate on the lease, roommate that's not on the lease, a paying guest, i.e. somebody who is renting a room, somebody who's couch surfing, whatever. Reason 4, harassed, coerced, obstructed, or threatened, interfered with me. This one I would select. I believe on my original filing, though, I only selected reason 3, just under the advice of my my legal aid lawyer. Reason 5, withheld or interfered with any of my vital services, which are heat from September 1st to June 15th. Yes, your source of heat, whether it be floorboard heaters, electric, steam radiators, oil furnaces, natural gas furnaces, electric furnaces, whatever, they must be turned on and set at least 21 degrees Celsius between those dates. Fuel, electricity, gas, hot or cold water. Now, if you're paying your own and you are delinquent in your payment, in arrears with the utility, they can cut off your service. Your landlord, however, cannot, no matter if they're paying the rent, or the utilities, it's included in your rent, or you are responsible for paying your own utilities. So hot water, cold water, gas, yeah. Care services, meals in my care home. So for sick, my landlord, these are the reasons that you can only select if only your landlord was the problem. So reason 6, did not give me 72 hours to remove my property from the rental unit or from someplace close to it after I was sure to evict me. I discussed that up there, up in the first page, so we won't go over that again. You can apply for remedies 2, 3, 5, 6, 8, and 10, and a remedy in part 3 and 11 in part 3 as well. Reason 7, you did not give me written tenancy agreement for my care home unit or agreement that did not include information about my care services, meals, or charges we agreed to. I would pay them. Again, we discussed it up there, and so yeah. If you're applying for reason 7, you can only remedy. The only remedy you can select in part 3 is remedy 1. Okay, explaining your reasons. I will actually pull up my filing to show you what my legal aid lawyer wrote in this after we actually cover this out. Explaining your reasons, list the number of reasons you chose on page 3, then describe the boxes for the events, what happened, when were the dates, times, who caused the problem, what were the names and titles, as such a superintendent involved, So for me, I actually put together a Excel spreadsheet tracking it. So it's attached to it, showing the dates and times of entry, reason, whether my rent seeker showed up, and what the real reason for going in, or what he actually did. Because sometimes it did differ between what he put in the notice and what he actually did, which is illegal as well. You can't say you're coming in to check the detectors, the smoke and CO2 detectors, and then go around taking some pictures. Okay, so I'll show you this in my filing. So part 3, remedies. Remedies listed below are orders the board can make it to address your reasons for filing the application. Shade the box completely next to the remedies you want the board to order. If the board decides in your favor, it may decide to include a different remedy or remedies than the ones you selected. Most of the time, though, they will grant you whatever you've selected. Remedy 1, the landlord must pay me a rent abatement of enter amount. My current rent is, so for me at the time, it was $869. Not 8,600, 69. Okay. A month. Okay. I am required to pay months. I was on monthly. Please explain. So for this, sending 56 notices of entry. I know I'm not spelling things right. I'm just quickly typing, just infer what they mean. 56 notices of entry over 2 months, causing me stress and having to be sent to the hospital under a mental health call and being held under a form 1, which is a 72-hour psychiatric hold, and being held for longer if deemed necessary. So remedy 2, the landlord or landlord's agent or superintendent must stop the activity described below. Please, so again, you can select multiple remedies here. So you can select this one and this one. Stop sending notices of entry for at least 6 months, something like that. Remedy 3, the landlord must pay a fine to the board. Remedy 4, I want the board to end my tenancy on date. Remedy 5, the landlord's agent or superintendent must pay me the cost of repair, replace property damaged, destroyed, or disposed of because of their actions. So again, this would relate back to that 72-hour hold. If they go through and throw out your stuff, sell your stuff, whatever, they are liable to reimburse you for that, for everything they threw out. And I believe it's at your original purchase price and not current value. So it would take you a long time to research that. So just estimate something big, and justify it, $5,000 because they sold off my furniture, couch, bed, and tables, so on and so forth. My CD collection, my DVD collection, my Blu-ray collection, my audio equipment. If you work from home, your computer, your files, you can attach a monetary to those. If you store equipment that you use at home, if you are, say, a DJ, you can file against that. Attach more sheets if necessary. Remedy receipt, my new rental unit has a higher rent. Landlord must pay me the difference in rent between my old rent and my new rent. For 1 year, the date I moved out, the difference in rent is per rental cycle, the amount landlord owes me is total. So it would be, say, $50 times 12 would be whatever. I'm not figuring that out right now. The landlord must pay me for my moving and storage expenses. So you can click both of these together, add them up. So $1,000. So please explain how you calculated that. So difference in my rent is $50 a month for 1 year, 12 months times $50, as well as moving expenses. So like boxes, any equipment, tape, and truck, moving people. Remedy 6, I will have out-of-pocket expenses resulting from the action of the landlord, landlord agent, superintendent, or landlord's agent or superintendent must pay for these expenses. These expenses are, list them here, list your cost. Remedy 9, the landlord must allow me to move back into the rental unit, and I must not rent the unit to anyone else. And must not rent the unit to anyone else. Is the unit vacant? Yes, no, I don't know. If you're applying to the board because the landlord did not let you get your property after the sheriff evicted you, you can ask the board to include remedy 10 in this order. Remedy 10 is the landlord must return all my property he or she possesses or that she can get back from other people. So yeah, so check that and check the landlord owes me for property or in damages. 11, I want the board to order other remedies. I have described these remedies below. So this is where you would ask for compensation for reasonable enjoyment interference, and list stuff like your mental health state, that you had to go to the hospital, that you were formed under a psychiatric form 1 for 72 hours or longer if you had that, the stress, if you're having trouble sleeping, if you're having trouble eating, having trouble engaging in relationships, and so on and so forth. So your signature, go here. Again, you can digitally sign, date that you completed it and you're ready to send it. Who is signing the application? Tenant 1 is usually you. Tenant 2 is any other person on the that you listed above. Legal representative. Information about your representative. And then collecting personal information. We've done this on other videos as well. So we just are going to skip over this. French language services can be requested. Accommodations under the Ontario Human Rights Code. Here, the offense, it's an offense under the RTA 2006 to file false or misleading information with the landlord tenant board. Yes, you can be charged for lying. It's the same as in court. You're signing and swearing to a legal document, and in your hearing, you are also under the assumption that you are swearing to tell the truth or taking an oath to tell the truth. You don't actually have to swear on a Bible or another religious text. It's just implied that you understand that any misrepresentation could get you in a lot of trouble. So again, the board can order the landlord, in this case, the landlord, to pay any costs related to the application. So that could include your legal costs, your filing fees. So your legal costs could include lawyer fees as well. the rules of practice, interpretation, and here's the, again, request for French language, request for accommodation, how you're paying, online receipt number, cash, debit, money order certificate. Money orders and checks must be made to payable to the Minister of Finance. Again, that is the actual title that you write in, not the current Minister of Finance. And then list dates that you're not available. You know, if you're on vacation, if you're going on vacation, if you're know you have surgery coming up, and you're going to need time to recover. That's where you would list that stuff. And then your payment information if you're paying by credit card. Okay, stop share. And I'm going to pause and go find the my filing, and then I'll show you like information that you would write into those areas where I said I was going to show. Okay, we're back. So I'm going to show you my filing for my T2 here. Okay, please note that this does contain information that I would not like shared. I'm not blanking anything out. It will be obviously public. It's obviously public record because it's available through information requests through the LTB. But please don't dox the new tenants at the my old rental address. Please don't dox my landlord, rent seeker. He's an asshole, but we don't want to get in trouble. Even though our policy is, yes, we will name scum rent seekers, our policy is do not dox them. Okay, so part one, general information. So it was for Hercules Court basement in Brampton. Kevin, which is my dead name. Please, again, I would request also that you do not use that when messaging me. My name is Aaron. My roommate's name. Technically, this could have, if the person doing the file processing had caught it or determined it to be a problem, caused an invalidation of the filing and would have to have restarted it. It's there's no S on the end of my roommate's first name. Please, again, don't share those numbers and email. So landlord's name is Mr. Samir Khan. He lives, I'm not going to state his name and address and phone number. Are you applying against your superintendent, landlord, agent because they caused the problem? No. Question to see about your tenancy. When did you move into the unit? 2016. Do you still live in the rental unit at the time this was filed? It was a yes. Related applications, at the time there were no current filings. Reason for filing the this application. So again, we simply decided to go with subsequently interfered with reasonable enjoyment of the unit complex, or with reasonable enjoyment of a member of my household. Harassed, coerced, obstructed, threatened, and interfered with me, reason 4. So no, nothing there. Explain your reasons. My my lawyer decided just to put C attached schedule, which is the spreadsheet that I kept. So that is at the end of this. Okay, so remedies went through. Remedy 2, landlord's agent or superintendent must stop the activities described below. Please explain. The landlord must stop sending us excessively frequent notices of entries for issues that are not urgent or necessary. This has caused us tremendous stress and has also put our health and lives at risk during this pandemic. So yeah, again, it was during pandemic. He was not following social distancing or using personal protective equipment. Personal protective equipment. He wore a mask, but he would pull it down. No gloves. He would touch whatever he wanted. So, okay. Remedy 5, remedy 6, remedy 7, remedy 8, remedy 9, remedy 10, remedy 11. I want the board to order other remedies. I've described those remedies below. I request the board order the landlord to pay us $6,000 in damages in the form of compensation for the pain and suffering caused by the landlord due to his excessively frequent notices of entry and actual entries into our unit. The landlord's action has greatly impacted our mental health and has caused Erin severe anxiety, resulting in her having to take several types of anxiety medications. Landlord frequent entry during COVID pandemic has also put the health and lives at risk. So you're going to see my dead name and dead pronouns a lot in these. At the actual hearing, I did identify myself as transgender and I request to use my proper name and pronouns were submitted then. Subsequent filings post the hearing for the request to revisit and issue a new hearing will refer to my proper pronouns and gender and name. Signature. So this is again showing a digital signature. There are plenty of sites out there free to use to create a digital signature in a JPEG or a PNG format, and then you can just in here add it to, I can't remember where you add it, but it's one of these. You form, I think it's under form signature, and you can just add that image and then just insert it wherever you need. So tenant 1, there is no tentative representative because yes, this was drawn up by legal aid, but unfortunately they are only willing to draw up the forms. They're unfortunately not willing to represent me in court. I am going to look for possibly when I get the new hearing, looking at local legal aid in Toronto. So blah 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 here, blah 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 blah. No accommodations needed. No French language requested. There's no payment information because as somebody on OW, I qualify for a fee waiver, and I will show you a fee waiver request as well. So scroll down. Okay, so unfortunately, this is set in a portrait for some reason. So reason 3, we moved into the basement rental unit about 6 years ago after the landlord failed to evict us at our last LTB hearing in May. The landlord has been harassing us and substantially interfering with our reasonable enjoyment of our rental unit by entering our unit multiple times. The landlord has served us notices of entry almost every weekday in July 2020 and continues to enter the rental unit excessively. And frequently, landlord's reason for entry vary, but usually he enters the unit under the pretense of inspection. He enters and then proceeds to take pictures of our unit. The landlord's constant entries has put a tremendous amount of stress in our day-to-day lives. The landlord's actions has exacerbated our mental health issues and has severely increased Aaron's anxiety levels, requiring multiple types of anxiety medications, as well as three, Andrea? 3 trips to under mental health check?
More than 3 times.
No, during that time it was 3 times.
Yeah.
So, but yes, this is not the only time that dealing with my landlord has sent me into a mental health crisis. Um, those stories are, uh, there are a lot of them, and maybe one day I will just do a live stream about my dealings with all the different types of landlords that I've had. Health risk regarding COVID. The landlord's frequent entries put our health and our lives in danger. We have noted the details regarding the various entries rental unit compiled to the unit and compiled below. So yeah, so just a quick rundown. So the first real time that that harassment started, and this was prior to the first hearing, he demanded that we be home to receive a notice of eviction. You do not have to be home to receive a notice of eviction. It just has to be dropped off in a place that communications between the landlord and tenant happen. Notice of evictions must be on and for non-payment of rent must be on and for, and must be delivered to the tenant. So they would not necessarily to the tenant, but it has to be dropped off at the tenant's residence. So it can be put in a mailbox, it can be handed, it can be slipped under a door. It can be taped or posted to the door, as long as it's either folded or in an envelope or turned with the notice facing the door and the blank page facing out. It is a violation of privacy rights to post it where, and so other people in the building or members of the community or anyone walking by can read that notice. And is going to start showing the apartment, no LTV hearing or eviction order. So yeah, he just hand wrote an eviction order and basically gave it to us, which is illegal. It has to be done on an N4. Then application must be made to the board for eviction, and then the board will decide whether to grant an eviction. And then at that point, an eviction is ordered, and at that point, only the tenant can move out or can wait to the sheriff, and only the sheriff can physically evict a tenant from their home. Date and time to enter. So this was not a notice of entry, showed up at reasons what happened. So who it was sent to, either myself or my roommate. Okay, so it really starts in March, but ramps up. March 12th, to open the apartment to see what's going on, which is not a valid reason under the Residential Tenancies Act. March 13th, no time specified. Showed up at, he did show up, I don't remember what time at though, to harass us about leaving. So the real reason was not to see what's going on. It was to actually uh, harass and physically back me into a corner about leaving. So to harass us about leaving me. May 11th, to shut off the water. This is a valid excuse, and this would be considered an emergency reason because the upstairs unit was having a water leak. So he sent it about 5 minutes before he came down. So May 2020, no time, don't remember the actual time as well. Real reason was to shut off the water. So shut off the water and turn back on when done. So everything on that notice was on the up and up. So May 18th. Okay, so these are the times slash because I worked in security. I usually note things by the 24-hour clock and not the 12-hour. So see here, March 11, 22:30, that would be 11:30 at night. 10:59 would be almost 11 o'clock in the morning. 16:07 would be 4:07 in the afternoon. Okay, so May 20, to inspect and give a notice. So he sent it at 16:07 and showed up at 14:30, which is not 24 hours notice. When a landlord sends you 24 hours notice, it must be 24-hour notice prior. You must receive it 24 hours prior to the time of entry. If the landlord says it's going to be between 4 and 6 in the evening, then he must send it at 4 o'clock in the afternoon the previous day. And he cannot show up before that. If he does, you have the legal right to say, no, come back at 4 o'clock. Don't remember. So the real reason this was a no-show without notice that he wasn't able to make it. So to inspect and give notice on 16:07. So no show, don't remember. To harass us about leaving. To harass us about leaving, not 24 hours notice. May at 6:20, May 29th at 6:20 in the morning, turn off water to fix upstairs. So this relates back to the first notice of water shut off. He did give us plenty of notice. Again, this didn't have to be 24 hours notice, but he did give us plenty of time. So shut off water and turned it back on again. May 31st, demanded a copy of our ID. So there was, this wasn't a notice of entry, this was a demand. So note here, a rent seeker can ask to see your ID. They cannot make a copy of it. They cannot take a picture of it. They cannot take a photocopy of it. They cannot take a scan of it. That is illegal. That is illegal, and they're not allowed to do it. In fact, no one should be doing that unless it's for something like a bank application. So an account application or something like that. Never disclose your social insurance number to your rent seeker. Again, they have no right to, they don't need to know it. The only people that should really be, you should really be disclosing that to are people who are involved with your taxes, i.e. Your accountant, your bank, your employer, and the Canadian Revenue Agency. June, to open the apartment, not a valid reason. that's a reason in such vague terms as to be not a reason. So a no-show, June, see above, so to open the apartment. So yeah, he sent it at 8:20 or about 8:20. June 30th. He showed up in the evening after 8 p.m. To talk us about leaving again, to talk about us leaving, and took pictures of our shelves and kitchen. I'll do one more page and then we'll call it quits for that. And then I'll go over a couple more forms quickly that I will do a video about as well. Okay, so June 4th on the property to take picture, did not specify entry. No time to take pictures of the apartment. Entered the apartment and began to take pictures, seemed to focus on belongings and shelves. Again, he did not specify that he was, this was a notice of entry, so this was an illegal entry. So text notice of rent increase saying notice will be dropped off on February 1st, 2020. Official notice not sent till March 6th, 2020, dated for delivered January 2020 for rent increase starting March 1st. This was an absolute illegal rent increase. Not only did he backdate it from the date he dropped it off, he missed basically everything was wrong with it. Again, I'll go over notice of rent increase in a separate video. Okay, so some of these are out of order as I kind of remembered them. So February, to collect rent and have contractor enter, no time given, can't remember. No contractor showed up. He did, however, come to get the rent. April 3rd, take pictures. No date, no time, can't remember. So yeah, he didn't send a date or time, which makes it a legal entry. To discuss rent, took pictures of shelves, clothes, kitchen, beds, bathroom, washroom, floor, and board heaters. April, to inspect apartment, take pictures. No time given, making it illegal, can't remember, took pictures. My roommate had to ask what time he was coming, said noon, took pictures of shelves, clothes, kitchen, beds, bathroom, and washroom, floorboard, and heaters. Again, you'll see a pattern. He enters, takes pictures of the exact same thing every time. Maybe varies it up, like I said, going through my boxes and my panties. Okay, April 17th, telling us to move out before May. Telling us to move out before May, no eviction order, or ordered us to stop using AC because we did not have permission for a portable unit. Requiring permission was not in the let rent in the lease agreement. We had the legal right to have that. Coming, no time, no reason giving, illegal notice, no show. Roger had to ask time. He said 6 o'clock, 1800. Okay, so you get the idea of tracking. This is very important. Whenever you do a filing, track your, make a spreadsheet of interactions, notices of entry, dates, times, what happened, anything. Also, for collecting evidence, use a call recorder app on your phone. Cube ACR is a fantastic one for Android. Ontario has one-party consent, meaning that as long as the person recording is part of the conversation, they do not have to disclose that they are recording. They do not need permission to record from the other persons. You can do it completely privately, without them knowing. Um, Keep emails, print emails, print text messages. They do disappear off your phone. Figure out a way to get your messages off your phone. You can easily use a call recorder to record you dialing into your voicemail and listening to it, and then cutting the relevant ones that you need. Any mailings, any dropped off notices, any illegal notices, legal notices, whatever, anything to do with your landlord and the case, even if it's not to do with the case, keep it, keep it, okay? Because it's all relevant. Okay, so we're gonna stop share here. And we're gonna say this is the end of the video. I know this one actually was a little longer than I wanted to be, but I think it gives a very detailed idea of what this notice is, how to fill it out, understanding it, and even a great example from my life. So once again, please join us at our Facebook page. All links will be down below. Please, 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 if you can, even if it's $1, even if it's at our minimum tier, please support us on Patreon. We want to continue doing this. We have some expenses that are coming up. We would like to purchase a better animation software, whiteboard animation software. We would like to actually get into more of an advocate program and fighting for tenants' rights, and actually protesting, actually going to MPPs and other politicians and discussing the issues, bringing up for landlords, bringing up programs such as what they're calling Rent Safe in Mississauga, which is licensing for landlords, as well as regular inspections of units, both common areas, buildings, exteriors, units, on a regular basis, instead of just when the tenant raises an issue. We're working with Acorn, as well, dealing with issues here in Toronto and Peel. What else? Like every other YouTuber out there said, subscribe, share,
Comment.
like, ring the bell, because leave a comment. The more interaction, the more favorable YouTube's algorithm looks on channels. That is why those big channels like PewDiePie and Vosh and ContraPoints all show up on your feed, because they have great interactions, they have great subscribers, and I hope we have you as a great subscriber. Andrea, is there anything you want to say?
Hopefully, if we keep, might as well come out with a podcast for all you rent seekers out there.
You mean tenants?
Tenants, rent seekers, everybody.
Okay, just to clear up, rent seeker refers to the person seeking the rent, or the landlord, REIT, investor, property manager, property management group, speculator, etc. The person who wants you to pay them rent.
Never get it up the arse.
A rental seeker is a tenant. We never use that, though. We will always use tenant. Okay, so with that, rent is not due. We will catch you next time. Thanks for turning your camera on, Andrea.
Anytime.
Give a salute.
Andrea out and Aaron out for the Tenants Rent project.
Exposing Scum Landlords Project, which we
Perfect.
may change actually to something more friendly,
Catchy.
more along the lines of tenant advocacy and rights
Yeah, we
instead of
do.
being negative towards rent seekers, even though we will always hate on rent seekers. Okay, once again, rent not due. Aaron out.
Andrea out as well.
No, I don't.